I've been studying generations for over 20 years, looking at how you can use a knowledge of generations, a knowledge based on history, to forecast or predict how generations will grow older. There's the study of generations, and then there's the study of demography. And they overlap a little bit. And but this work that I'm doing is going to be mostly on demography. You have the boomer generation, who are born after the war, a large generation, who are putting a great deal of strain on retirement institutions because of their numbers. They've also brought a great deal of new stresses and strains to the political system. This used to be called the 386 generation, or the generation of 2030. Starting about 10 years ago, people began to give them a name. And now you have the even younger generation of young adults in their 20s and 30s, more individualistic, less trusting of big institutions, both in politics and in business, more market-oriented to some extent, and even willing to question the way gender roles function, and how the family, traditional family institutions, people's choices, particularly the ability of women to have both children and jobs, which it's actually has become a big retirement issue, since it's contributed to South Korea having an extremely low fertility rate, as well as having a relatively low rate of labor participation among women. So this is a bad outcome on both sides for the long-term future of retirement, because you have a great deal of a very high dependency ratio in the long term of old people on young, as well as fewer young people paying into the system. You are going to see the need to create new retirement institutions that match the collective personality of these new generations we see coming on stream. It's going to be very difficult to have any adequate retirement system in a country which has such a low fertility rate and such a small share of a relatively small share of women contributing into the system by being part of the formal labor force. And I think you're going to need a system which elicits more trust from the young, which they don't currently have in the retirement system, just in terms of long-term payoff, being paid back for their contributions. I think what's needed for a happy old age in Korea, as well as in the other rising East Asian societies that we studied, is a system which provides an adequate floor of protection for everyone, including those who may be in poverty, a system which everyone trusts, and a system which does not place too high a burden, either privately in the individual families or publicly in terms of a high payroll tax or a high tax burden, does not place too much of a burden on the younger generations. A happy old age independently of retirement, I would define it as an old age where you are adequately provided for materially and economically, that you are as close to your family as you wish to be, and you are in good health, and you are still able to participate civically and politically. I'd say that's a happy old age for most people.